Hey there, in today's video I'm going to talk about the Cabbage Patch 10, a 10-mile race around Twickenham in London, England. I'm making this video because I ran the Cabbage Patch 10 in 2024. I last ran it just over 30 years ago. It's one of my all-time favorite races. I thought I'd make this video and show you why you might be interested in running it. As always, this video might be long. There are chapter markers down below, so you can skip on through to the bits you might be interested in. Let's get going. I live in Dublin, Ireland. Twickenham is in London, England. So a short plane ride was in order. There was a weather delay on the day, so there's a bit of time before we went. Eventually, it was EIEI go for the short flight to London Heathrow. We took off. It was a very smooth flight, and soon we were looking down on England's green and pleasant land. Very shortly then we were over London. It's about a 50-minute trip. It's not very far. And you could see the London Stadium, the Olympic Stadium. You can see where the marathon starts in Greenwich. That's for a later day. Twickenham is close enough to Heathrow in West London, so a tube and train ride to Twickenham. I stayed in the Radisson in Twickenham Stadium. Twickenham is famous for rugby. I stayed in the rugby stadium and I had lots of space in the room to do work, editing video like this. You can pick up the race bib in Up and Running in Teddington, not far from Twickenham, for about a week before the race. And on the morning of the race, you can pick it up in the Cabbage Patch pub, the home, I guess, of the race. There's a chip timer. It's not on the bib. It's actually on something you twist onto your shoe, a bit like the Berlin Marathon. I was a bit worried about close fitting with the Stride foot pods, but it all worked great. My race plan was best summed up by something I drank on the Friday night called Steady Rolling Man. That was exactly my plan. On Saturday, I jumped on some trains to preview the course. The official course map is terrible. It looks like someone got a highlighter to an old A to Z map of London. It's charismatic, it's charming, but it's largely useless. So I redrew it on Map My Run beforehand. I ran the race and drew the course map with my feet using Garmin Connect. Then I went back to Map My Run and created an updated file of the Cabbage Patch 10 route 2024. The link is in the description. Richmond is on the northern edge of the course and Kingston is on the southern edge. And I went to both by train and got to go over various bridges over the Thames. This is looking towards Richmond. You don't actually run on the towpath on either side. You're beyond the bridge. But it was good to go to both to kind of get a recce to see what both would be like. This is crossing the bridge across into Kingston. And there's another bridge that you run across, which in this case is behind us. But we do run down the right-hand side of the towpath. It's at about 3 miles, and just to the right there is where the first water stop is. But it was very good to go into both of the different towns, have a look around and see what the conditions might be like for the race. This is Richmond Bridge, looking down either side of the course. We run up towards the bridge on the left and run down on the right. And as we pan around, there's a You run uphill. The only hill is behind those trees, and then you run across this bridge, and you run across, and then you turn around and go back down towards the Thames. It's one of my favorite spots in London, is that spot. If you park your car there, I've seen several ones covered in water over the years, but yeah, we go down and run the right-hand side riverbank, and it is absolutely beautiful at that point. This is a slope that you run up towards Richmond Bridge. This is the center image taken on Kingston Bridge, looking as we will be running down the right-hand side, and we come down from the left, but essentially we're behind buildings. And in this case, as we pan around, you'll see the railway bridge I crossed earlier. And then as we pan around, you'll see John Lewis's, it's designed by Aaron Burton Carlack, a famous building from the 80s. And you run under that, and it's at the 3 mile point, and there's a very dangerous bit of headroom. You'll see it on the, there's low headroom running under there. I was surprised we ran under it, but yeah, that's the preview of the course. After the beautiful weather on Saturday, Sunday morning, well, it was a bit sketchy with rain predicted. There's a bag drop off at the Cabbage Patch pub. I went down there, had a look. I didn't need to drop off a bag. And there's lots of signs to start. It's very well signposted and very well organized. There are toilets in local pubs and businesses that are signposted. I went to Wetherspoons, and then it was down to the river where you could see people stretching and long sort of stretches where people could run and warm up. And I made a piece to camera. I'm down here. Eel Pie Island is behind me. It's let's see, it's 8:45, off in 15 minutes. It's lightly drizzling now, but it could get very heavy in rain. The South Coast run was cancelled today. Could be wet, could be windy, but that's fine. I don't mind it after I've started. I have to wipe the camera a couple of times. I'm just using this as a training run and a testing of various bits of equipment, mics, chest mounts, camera, the usual. And I ran the Kilkee half marathon in about 5 minutes 30 per kilometre. I'm going to go somewhere around there, maybe a bit quicker at the end, but we'll see. But I ran this race 30 years ago or something, and I loved every second of it. So yeah, one of my all-time favourite races. Twickenham is such a beautiful part of London. I mean, look behind, you see the river, and it's just really beautiful. And you run basically up and down either side of the river, not always on the towpath. Sometimes you're on there. Sometimes you're actually on the a roadway. But we'll see how it goes. We'll try and record, and yeah, looking forward to it. Last minute tightening of the shoes yet again, up to Church Street, and then the race starts in waves. Now all the waves, it's voluntary, you can pick whichever one you want, but they were all in minutes per mile. I'm a kilometre per mile man, and so I found out a few quick conversions on Siri, some great chatting to people before the start, and then checking the camera and the microphones before the 9 o'clock off.
With the last, as you turn up from the river, it is up.
Yeah, all right.
To save a bit for the light for the end.
That's what I usually try and do. Right, remember.
Good finishing. Enjoy yourself.
Thanks, you too. Mile 1 is Church Street, Twickenham to Strawberry Vale. You're jockeying for position like lots of races at the start. It starts narrowly in Church Street, and then you get out on the road, and there is a lot of barging. There's oncoming traffic, so the left lane or the left side of the road is dedicated to the runners, but there's no barrier between, and people can weave in and out, but there is oncoming traffic. You are on public roads. My strong advice about this race is start in a wave you can cope with, at a pace you can cope with, because it's very hard. It's one of the hardest races to overtake. At this point, I was able to overtake easy enough when you saw a gap in the traffic, but there was a lot of bumping. I like to be in the middle of the road where the crown of the road is as level as possible, so the legs are not at a differential height. But yeah, it was tricky, and a couple of people were swinging in and out, and yeah, typical difficult start to a race. Mile 1. .28 in terms of time. Average pace 5:20 per kilometre, which is fine. Mile 2 is Strawberry Vale to Broome Road. One of the things is there are a lot of changes in surface. You're running on and off paths and in and out of various pieces. There are lots of volunteers, but they can't control everything. You have to watch out. There are cars about and bicycles and people and all sorts of things. One of the things I noticed is the racing rules of the Cabbage Patch 10 forbid headphones, but you see lots of people wearing them. But yeah, watch out. There is traffic about. Mile 2, 5:13 average. That's kind of okay. Into the wind. It's quite windy. Probably picked that up on the mic. Stride tell me to slow down as always. Check the camera's recording. Yeah, 22:43 for 2 miles. Mile 3 is Broome Road to Kingston Bridge. And one of the things I like very much about this race is the third mile is on Kingston Bridge. It's when you swing around and head up northwards on the other side of the towpath. And it's really nice. You kind of feel right. You feel like you've a marker done. It was nice to see lots of local people running, local clubs, the Ealing Eagles, the Datchet Dashers, the Stragglers. I was looking at all of these as I go along, and it seems like it's a very London-based event, based on just what was on the back of people's shirts. But yeah, it was really nice heading down to the third mile towards the bridge at Kingston. Mile 4, Kingston Bridge to Lower Ham Road. You run across the bridge and then you run under the underpass at John Lewis. It is dangerous, this low headroom at the sign. If you were tall, I'm not. If you were guiding someone tall like Chris Bailey and they're bobbing up and down as they run, I could see a lot of people hitting their heads. And you turn around and you end up on the towpath. There is a drink station at that point in time. There's a lot of litter, and I do wish they had put a bin further away, but you know, I didn't take anything on, and I started to notice a lot of wet leaves. Be careful of your footing.
4 miles, 33:38, 5:12 average.
Mile 5, Lower Ham Road to Dysart Avenue.
4 miles according to me.
Yeah, I'm in kilometers, so I have no idea.
All right.
I have some idea, but not great. My GPS could be miles off for all I know. Yeah, it should be plenty open skies.
I used to run with kilometres when I ran with my daughter because she couldn't understand miles.
All right.
And she left home on miles.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Ireland, and
All right.
we mix miles and kilometers, so it's kind of like some people. And I'm 61, so it's not like I'm started at miles, but somehow maybe it was a vain attempt to think I was running faster.
Weird thing, you know, sometimes, well, for a half marathon, 13 miles far is better than 21 kilometres.
Yeah, yeah.
But then again, kilometres
Click by. That's why when I'm racing a marathon, say, I'm always thinking in terms of both. I'm kind of going, great, that's a mile out of the way, wow. And the next kilometre will come up, so yeah. So, all these little tricks to fool yourself.
So you come over for this? Or you
Yeah, I ran it. I used to live in London years ago.
All right.
And it's 30 years or thereabouts since I ran this race.
Yeah.
And I loved it then. And I'm kind of running it to, you know, go down memory lane. But it's a beautiful race.
Yeah, it's a nice distance.
It's a lovely distance. Flat, beautiful towns, beautiful towpath, nice people. Yeah, it's great. Pub afterwards, you know. Well, I'll see you later.
Yeah.
Best wishes.
You're now running north with the Thames immediately to your left. It's nice at this part, but it's kind of sort of the doldrums part of the race too. Quote Churchill, it's not the end, nor perhaps the beginning of the end, but it is perhaps the end of the beginning.
Halfway, 44:14. Cool.
Mile 6, Dysart Avenue to Riverside Drive, and before I knew it, I was at the halfway point in 44 minutes and 15 seconds. Somehow in my head, I thought, right, well then I could do an hour and 30 maybe for the 10 miles. And I had an idea that I would like to run it quicker than an hour and 30 minutes or an hour and a half. I had run previously when I ran the Cabbage Patch 10, I'd run a half marathon in about 1:28 and change. So kind of trying to, you know, in your head, you're making these little things, adjustments as you go along. I thought I might try and beat that time. And at this point in time, the rain was coming down. Mile 7, Riverside Drive to Ham Avenue. In the 7th mile, we took to the grass and it was wet. You can see my rubbing up the camera lens every now and then to try and keep it dry. But actually, I really like the rain. I don't necessarily like starting in the rain, but once it's actually raining on the run, I really quite enjoy it. There are lots of narrow footpaths at this point in time. Overtaking is difficult, but soon enough, you're on the beautiful avenue down to Ham House.
Well, 7, 5, 10 average, 58:37.
Mile 8, Ham Avenue to Richmond River Thames path. You continue on the avenue alongside Ham House, and then you sort of swing down towards the river, and at this point in time, it was chucking it down. And there was a water station again near the river, and just like the last time, I didn't take anything, but they had got a bin quite a distance from where you take on the water, which was a great thing and helped for litter management.
8 miles, hour 6:41, 5:09 average. No heartbeat.
Mile 9, Richmond River Thames path to Warren footpath, the pointy end of the race. It's beautiful. It's along the river, and sometimes it looked like I was running through it. It was very wet. I was worried about the electrics in my Stride foot pods on my Alphaflys or Alpha floats at this point in time. But it's a very nice part of the river, so you get a lot of people out. There's bicyclists, there's people with dogs, and there's other runners coming the other way. It is quite tricky, but it's really enjoyable. You're coming up towards Richmond River or Richmond Bridge, and Richmond is beautiful. A man offered me some Haribos. It was nice, and I really love running hills, and there's a nice little uphill to the bridge.
Thanks very much. Thanks. Oh, hill. Thanks very much. Cheers.
Well done.
And cross around to my favourite part of the run, just the other side of Richmond Bridge and heading south to Recon.
Thank you. Thanks. How you doing?
Yeah, good man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good work.
Thanks.
For the Cabbage Patch 10, I ran in the Alphafly 3s. They were super on the run. You can hear them popping away in the background. I didn't notice the noise on the run, thankfully. I wore my on-running mid sock, my race sock of choice. I wore my Otso. They're like fake jeans shorts. I bought them kind of for fun, but they've turned out to be one of the shorts I really love running in. I wore a Bandit singlet that I bought in Brooklyn, and then I wore my Soar running arm sleeves, elite arm sleeves in black. I could have got by without arm sleeves, but I actually enjoyed wearing them, and I ran in an on zero cap. As well as the running kit, I ran in a chest strap monitor, the Garmin HRM Pro, and then I had that linked, I thought, to my Garmin FR955. I was wearing that on the outside of my sleeve for testing, which was just as well because they didn't connect, and that was a lesson learned. But I was also running with my Apple Watch connected to my Stride. So I had that. For filming, I had a DJI Action 5 Pro mounted to a GoPro chest mount, and I had the DJI Mic 2 and Lav Mic, which you would have seen in the earlier pictures. For some reason, right at the very end, when I pressed the go button, in terms of speed, I don't know whether I hit the camera or whatever, but it stopped recording. But yeah, just at the very end, it stopped recording. But I'll show pictures of the finish separately.
9 miles, 1:14:52. I'll be there.
Mile 10, Warren footpath to York House. This is the last bit of race time to up the pace. And at this point, it really was very narrow. With all the people out and the water of the Thames rising up, it was really narrow, very difficult to overtake. And I didn't really know that the end of the race well, which is something that I really like to do. I'll go back over, after the race, I went over that. But yeah, it was time to speed up. I mean, it's beautiful. At this point in time, there's some beautiful laneways. And we headed towards York House, and just as I finally went for the last push, the camera cut out. But we'll go back and we'll have a good look at the finish.
Thanks. How far? Thank you very much. Thanks.
20 seconds to the finish. Get that smile ready.
Come, baby, come, baby, baby, come. Thanks. Come on your left.
At the end of the race, picked up a wooden medal, a great t-shirt, and a can of Fuller's London Pride. It was very wet. I tried to do the usual posing at the finish. You'll see the kind of gear I was in. And then it was back to the hotel for a quick shower and then back down to just look at some of the aspects at the end. I went down to the White Swan pub along the riverside. It's my favorite pub in Twickenham. And then I went up the lovely Sion Road. They were already digging it up for road repairs. And then round to York House. You'll see these are the gates that as I went through, my camera died. But the finish is just in front of the house. Everything was cleared away so quickly. I mean, it was quite extraordinary how quickly it was all cleared away. And then I went back to the Cabbage Patch to look at the results. Richard Nururkar set an all-time British record for the 10 miles on this course in 1993 with a time of 46 minutes and 2 seconds. Somewhere around there, I was able to do it in 62 minutes. But in this particular one, I was quite happy that out of the 1,626 finishers, I finished 681st. I ran the 2024 Cabbage Patch 10 in an hour, 22 minutes and change. The last time I ran it, over the 30 years ago, I ran it in 62 minutes. So I've lost about 30% of my performance in 30 years. So a 1% decline per year? Yeah, I'd happily take that. As always at the end of the race, huge thanks to all the volunteers, to the man who offered me the Haribo Sweeties near Richmond Bridge, to all of the people who get involved. There's a huge undertaking. All the pubs and places that open up the toilets for the runners at the start and the finish, to the police who organise it all, to all the people who are inconvenienced, all the motorists, all the cyclists, and all the other walkers who are along the way trying to enjoy their Sunday morning stroll. So thanks to all of those people for, giving up something to make my day and all the runners' day special. At the end of the run, we were presented with a very nice t-shirt. I've lost a t-shirt from 30 years ago, but I got a very nice one at this one and a can of London Pride. Very fitting. Cheers. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you did, it would be great if you'd hit the like button. As always, there'll be lots of stuff in the description below, and I'll happily answer any questions you put into the comments. There'll be a big blue subscribe button popping up there, and some great videos there. Thanks for watching. Until the next video, just keep running along.